Greetings, brothers and sisters. Celebrities aren't bathing anymore, at least some of them. Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't think bathing regularly is necessary. Also, they have this one. The Nightcrawler star joins a growing list of celebrities who are less enthused about daily bathing, including Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. And so there was headlines. I didn't really pay attention to it at first, but Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher said they didn't bathe their children. They didn't clean their children unless the children were physically dirty. They could see dirt. And then Kirsten Bell and Dax Shepard, is that dude's name? Don't tell me, don't care, don't need to know. They said they did the same thing. And now Jake Gyllenhaal is coming out as a non-bather, right? And so this is a movement and it's intentional. This is the third installment. But I also think there's a whole world of not bathing that is really helpful for skin maintenance, and we naturally clean ourselves. What do you mean by that? Like, in what way do people naturally clean themselves if they're not licking their bodies like dogs and cats, right? And so these celebrities just aren't into bathing anymore. And that probably means there's going to be water shortages coming up, I would assume. And they're trying to make it cool not to bathe because all the fresh water, drinking water, that we use up on elaborate showers and bathtubs and things like this. So America has an abundance of fresh water. People don't have the same kind of level of fresh water we have in America. And then the people who live in the West live in places where they shouldn't, based in the natural water supply. Beautiful places, Arizona and Utah, these, places in Nevada and California that are basically deserts that they, dam up rivers and, people grow patches of grass in these desert climates, and their water shortages are coming. I mean, there's going to be water wars, and, water is going to be a big thing in the future. And so at this time, celebrities are conveniently not bathing. I see this on a daily basis because I cover things like this. And when I'm going through the media, you'll see stories pop up that don't seem organic. Now, if it was just two celebrities that said they didn't bathe their kids, right? You say, all right, that's a passing story. But when it's three celebrities coming out and saying, hey, there's another, angle to the whole bathing, not bathing, the debate that no one's having, right? Right. And they push this out there, and then people will talk about it on social media, and then they get this other point of view that somehow it's better for your skin not to bathe every day, and all the celebrities are doing it, and then you'll get all these sort of, famous influencers and social media people who are into celebrity culture that will adopt this, and they'll tell all their, people that watch them. And so they're creating this idea that, it's the rich people, the celebrities don't bathe every day, right? They're not into it, and maybe you want to do the same thing. And it's, this is a psychological operation. You see how they roll these things out, especially with the celebrity culture. People want to be like celebrities, and they want to, the celebrity culture, Hollywood culture, is being rolled out completely now in various ways. We've seen it. This agenda, their belief system, their morality, what they think about all kinds of, what used to be sort of black and white type of understanding of things is now got this complex Hollywood spin. And now they're getting into people's personal hygiene because obviously there's going to be some water issues. I mean, they're already having the wildfires in the West and things. And so, you're about to lose something else. That's what this means. It's another thing that you can cross off your bucket list. Bathing daily. Celebrities descend on Martha's Vineyard for Obama's scaled back bash. Happy birthday. There they are. Chrissy Teigen made an appearance. And, they're not bathing. So it's an unpleasant, they're not bathing, and they're creating a super spreader event. Barbara Streisand says one thing should be shown on TV every day to debunk Trump's lies. She said, 4 years in a black hole. When you think of it, Al Gore lost the election by 537 votes. Hillary lost the election by 77,000 votes. But Trump lost the election by 7 million votes. I think they should show that on TV every day. She's completely clueless about, who is that for? You and your friends? Because, the people that like Trump or care about Trump or, whoever it is, they don't believe any of that stuff, right? And they don't believe in the media and the news. It's just how clueless the celebrities are. Most Americans don't trust the news and the celebrity culture. They don't trust you, don't like you, right? I mean, it's not just conservatives, it's not just Trumpers, it's many other people, and we've just completely tuned you out. We don't, there's nothing you can say that will be like, oh, that's factual, right? There's nothing that the mainstream media can say that we can 100% believe. You don't get that? You guys seriously don't get that. You don't understand. Putting it on the news doesn't make it that people are going to believe it. Because we don't trust the official story, and it's lots of liberal people too. It's not just one group of people. Most people have lost faith in politicians and the media, and Hollywood celebrities they never look to for, serious people never look to celebrities to tell them how to live their lives, right? I got a couple of trailers, 3 trailers to get to. Bizarre trailers. Things are just getting weirder and weirder out there. Britney Spears' dad reveals he recently discussed possibly placing singer back into a mental institution. And so he wants to get her reprogrammed and meted up, right? I mean, this is the kind of ghoul that guy is, right? Because he wants to bring her to one of those reprogramming centers. And so what does Britney think?
Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering how I'm doing, and since the cat is out of the bag, literally out of the bag.
Not literally, Britney. That means, did you have a cat in a bag? That's what literally means. The cat is out of the bag, literally out of the bag. So you've been keeping a cat in a bag. Is that what you're saying, Britney? That's great.
Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering how I'm doing, and since the cat is out of the bag, literally out of the bag.
Literally out of the bag? Come on, cat, get out of that bag.
And you guys know my situation. I do want to let you guys know things are way
We do now. You're keeping cats in bags.
better than what I ever anticipated. And here are a couple of questions that you guys asked me apart from the drama and the conservatorship.
Apart from the drama of the conservatorship, here are some questions her Free Britney people are asking, but not conservatorship related questions.
Hi, so I'm here to answer all of your guys' questions, and the first main question that you guys have been asking me basically is what's my favorite clothing store? My favorite clothing store is definitely J. Crew, just because I like the fact that they have clothes for men and women, and
They have clothes for men and women there. Not just for men or women, but for both of them.
I got this dress from there. So, the second question that you guys have been asking me is what's my favorite Miley Cyrus song? My favorite Miley Cyrus song is definitely We Can't Stop from back in the day. Really cool song.
We Can't Stop. She likes the We Can't Stop because people are interested in how Britney feels about Miley Cyrus.
Song. The third question that you guys have been asking me is basically if I had to choose a potato chip between a baked lay or a real deal lay, potato chip, I would have to say I would choose a real deal lay, definitely.
People are concerned about what kind of potato chips Britney likes. And her answer is that she wants to get laid.
Question that you guys have been asking me is what's my favorite scented lotion? My favorite scented lotion is definitely vanilla, just because I like the way it smells so fresh and girly and summery, and I've always been vanilla girl.
What the hell does that mean? What is that code for? She's always been a vanilla girl. Britney. She's got cats in bags. She wants to get laid. She somehow thinks people care about what she feels about Miley Cyrus. And she's a vanilla girl. She's checking all the frickin' boxes here. Cuomo's lawyers just proved he has no credible defense. The New York Post is setting in on this MNFer. But, nothing's going to happen. Like he might be out of politics, but they'll probably keep him around for a while because it's a story, I mean, everything's controlled and, it's just a crap fest out there. Chris Cuomo's goes on vacation as scandal swirls around the CNN anchor and his brother. So he's taking the Jimmy Kimmel way out, which is go on vacation till everything blows over. CNN really wants to keep him. I don't know why he sucks, right? But, look at that clueless. There's a crazy eye. Okay, there's a new show on Fox on Hulu called Last Man. It's a day like any other. There's a bridge with a flag. There's a mom with a kid. There's a bunch of people sitting in a lecture. It's like any other day. And then the Pentagon
Mr. President, you're...
I'm fine.
He's bleeding and he's got all kinds of veiny stuff going on here. It's Joe Biden's.
Come on, guys. This is a man.
It's a man's world. The men are all dying. They're all dying. This is a world without men.
This is a man's world. But it wouldn't be.
They were all gone. The men are all gone. Finally, a TV show that gets it. And now, what do you got? You got traffic jams. You got Wall Street's closed. I mean, it's just a mess all over the place. Except for one lucky dude. He's got a monkey.
God, I never get to keep no monkeys.
Madam President,
Left.
power plants will start to shut down.
Which city? All of them.
All of them. Don't you know? Don't you know?
Somewhere is the answer to how this all happened, and how we fix it.
Who are you?
Yorick.
You're
Jorik.
reproductively interesting.
Wow. Okay.
It's from the acclaimed graphic novel.
People are going to have to pick sides.
What do you mean? There's only one side left. What sides are there?
They are hungry. Angry.
And what else? What else? They're angry. They're confused, and I don't know, something else that begins with an H.
Terrified.
Terrified. That's not what I was looking for there.
We will rebuild together.
Run, dude. It's you in a world full of bitches. Run, bro. Get on your bike and run.
Together.
The Last Man. It's streaming September 13th. Exclusively on Fox on Hulu. It's not even on Fox. It's just on Fox on Hulu. But, you know, they had to get it out there. Like, what happens when all the men die or whatever it is, right? This was tweeted by Amber Tamberlin. Hold on to your husbands. We're about to bring you a world unlike anything you've ever seen before. A world without cisgender men. Welcome to a wild and dangerous new world ruined, and rebuilt and rebirthed by women There's nothing new about it. I'm going to cover this at the end of this, in the voiceover portion of this video. But there's nothing new about this. This is a movie by Clint Eastwood. I can't show you the whole trailer because of copyright reasons. But it's called Cry Macho. And this happened.
You used to be strong, macho. I used to be a lot of things.
He used to be lots of things. Now he's just old.
But I'm not now. And I'll tell you something. This macho thing is overrated.
This macho thing is overrated from Clint Eastwood, right? What's happening? Clint Eastwood is, I think, one of the few Hollywood Republicans. And, he made a lot of crappy movies like Dirty Harry and, Unnecessarily Violent. But then he started to make his own movies, and he made some classics, The Unforgiven, Gran Torino. I mean, well-made movies, kind of masterpieces for what they were. But now he says being macho is overrated. We got another TV show with cisgender men disappearing, and men have pretty much disappeared from the Olympics, right? And so even Clint Eastwood, even Dirty Harry's getting into the end of being macho. Cry macho.
His name is Macho. Like me, very strong rooster.
Whatever.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing. Guy wants to name his cock Macho. It's okay by me.
That was a joke. That was just sad. It's over, Clint. Let it go. Stop trying to make movies, bro. That was horrible. Well, speaking of macho, from Apple TV, an Apple TV original.
I want everyone to answer this question, all right? I'll give you a second to think about it. Now, raise your hand if you think you're a lucky person.
Raise your hand. Kids today don't
Mr.
think
Mo.
they're lucky.
Okay, raise your hand if you think you're unlucky.
Kids growing up in 2021 just think they're unlucky because, COVID and all the rest of it. And the apocalypse, I mean.
Got it. Okay, you can put your hands down.
What about you, Mr. Corman?
What's that?
You didn't raise your hand.
Me? No, I mean, I feel like a lucky person.
He's lucky. He's in movies and, he was a childhood actor that somehow made it through without having a complete breakdown, at least that we know about.
I'm having anxiety or panic or something, both.
He's not lucky. He's having some kind of cisgender male anxiety or panic.
What's the difference?
I'm gonna need a sub for today.
There's a meteor coming in. Some kind of meteor collapsing around him.
What's bothering you?
Everything. It just feels like I blew the whole thing, like I suck as a person.
You're not in.
No, come on. You're just cisgender. You're doing your best, buddy. You're just a white dude, and you're doing your best, buddy.
Entitled to a perfect partner or a perfect life.
I didn't leave you because you became a teacher. I left because I thought I was doing what I love with the man I love.
To see me through.
It's okay, comforter. He's not lucky anymore.
How was your weekend?
It was great.
He's some big man now.
You guys walk away.
He's wearing bunny ears. That's how you know. He's wearing bunny ears, dressed as a bunny.
Walk away.
Boom. He's flying out of windows.
All right, good morning. Happy Monday.
Everything is a complete disaster.
You've had the privilege of expecting everything to just work out.
You've had that privilege of being a cisgender white male. And now that privilege is gone, and you just, it's a disaster. I mean, that's privilege. You can't have that privilege forever, buddy.
You've had the privilege of expecting everything to just work out. Now that you're faced with some adversity, it could feel like the end of the world.
Thank you, wise woman. You got to set this guy straight. He's lost, doesn't know what to do. Of course, it might be the end of the world. It might be the end of the world, or at least the world the way we know it.
You want to stop feeling like you're feeling?
What about this weighted blanket?
It costs $250.
We can make our own version.
You can't.
Exactly, dude. Get a weighted blanket. That'll solve your problems.
Make your own version.
You feeling less anxious?
No, I'm really not.
That's funny. This August.
You can't stop thinking about all the things you should have done and why you didn't do them.
Yeah, white dude, you just get out there and play in a band. Rollerblade. Grow a beard and rollerblade. There's a monarch butterfly over here for some reason.
I know I can be negative sometimes. It's not how I want to be.
Nothing is perfect.
You know, it'd be helpful, like, stop bathing. Like, you know, your bathing's overrated.
I don't know why that's so hard for you to see.
Yeah, look in the mirror and lies your story and the dancing. Dance. His mom, he's getting the business from the women in his life telling him he's just, you know, flipping out. Mr. Corman.
Just a name.
On Apple TV. So you're going back to what Amber Tamberlin said about welcome to a wild and dangerous new world, run, ruined, rebuilt, and rebirthed by women. There's almost no difference between, you know, they're saying white men made the world suck. And, you know, in general, men and white men and all these things, right? Heterosexual, cisgender men have ruined the world. That is a, you know, idea that has a lot of push and power behind it in the current, you know, agenda that's being rolled out. And so you're seeing this at the Olympics. I mean, the Olympics, men have been disappeared and just, you know, with the movies and TV shows and then everywhere on the media. Trump and his supporters represent the dinosaurs of the past, and there's a new wave of leadership. And, you know, what's the difference? Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Because as far as I can tell, there's external differences, superficial differences, the color of the skin, the sex, the whatever it is, right? Orientation, things like this. Those things are changing in terms of leadership and content. But in terms of all the flaws that you would say, all right, the narcissism, the force, the use of force, the, you know, mansplaining, right? Because they're mansplaining this to all of us. They're forcing their internal world and the way that they, you know, view how the world should be on us. And it's not any better and they're not any different. They're just as narcissistic. They're just as forceful. They're just as flawed, lots of character flaws. There's not really much difference internally with the new leadership, but the big egos and the narcissism and the selfishness and all the rest of it and brokenness now and mental illness and force are the same. This isn't something new. This isn't some like new paradigm. You're just switching men for women or people of color for white men or whatever it is, right? LGBTQ people for cisgender people. I mean, it's not, you know, there's some superficial differences in terms of, you know, the periphery of the people, but the people inside internally are the same, and they're still a part of this beastly system. They're still, you know, a part of the beast, right? And so, you know, for me personally, being dyslexic, being introverted, whatever, you know, differences there is in my soul's path before this, I never really got the whole America thing. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. I grew up as an outsider, not really, you know, I mean, I wasn't angry or wasn't, I don't know, maybe I was somewhat frustrated later on, but as a kid, I wasn't angry about it. I just, you know, it didn't make sense to me. The American system, I never bought into it. I'm not, you know, I'm not opposed to it collapsing, as you can probably tell from my videos and things like this. I just, you know, never understood the American dream and all of it, right? It was strange to me, like alien to me, the, you know, culture in which I grew up in. So I don't have any issue with people complaining about the culture because I had my own negative experience with it. But if you're going to change the culture, then you have to really change it. What's happening now is just, you know, they're moving pieces of the existing culture into different parts of the hierarchy, right? They're just taking, whatever. I mean, that's what they're proposing to do. It's just, a way to destroy the culture. It isn't really, everybody who's an outsider thinks that their group or individually that they can, make the world a better place if the world was mirroring their idea of the way the world should be, right? I mean, most people have that with their parents and their families or their boss or whatever, thinking they can do a better job. I mean, that's just the human nature, and especially in America and in the Western culture, people who are not in power thinking if they were in power, things would be better. But then when they get in power, they end up being that person, the former leader, their former, their parents or their boss or whatever it was. They end up turning into that person that they hated, right? And because they didn't understand what was being demanded of that particular role. The structure of our society, there has to be selfish narcissists that are greedy and power hungry at the top of a very narcissistic, big ego type of, demonic, because the ego is the devil part of everyone, right? The demonic part of everyone. Everyone has a soul, which is your spiritual essence, and you have an ego. And when your soul is diminished and you lose contact with your soul and you lose contact with God and you become more and more selfish, your ego turns into a demon. That's the true understanding of what a devil or a demon is. Like the religious structure, the religious teachings fail in this point because each person has a potential saint in them or a potential demon. One of the problems with the Christian religion, it focuses on, and Catholicism particularly, the idea of being born a sinner. And that's not true. You're born a potential sinner and you're born a potential saint. And you choose. You can choose the selfish path and the hedonistic path and go away from your soul's path and the will of God. And then you're going to become a sinner or, a demon, a big ego person. And so that's what happens, and that's who's running the world now. And these people who want to replace the current leadership are just like that internally. And the current religion, the dominant religion here, has said you can't have a direct connection to God, that only through the religion can you connect to God. And so with these two negative ideas, that you're born a sinner and that's all you'll ever be, so don't even try to be spiritual, right? Don't even try to be a saint, right? Because you're already, this is what you are, and that's the best that you can achieve. And only through the religion can you achieve connection to God, and you don't need to worry about it. You just got to do what we say. Then people don't try. I mean, that's one of the problems with what's happened in America. On a global basis, religions have blocked people's connections to their soul and connections to the divinity within, and also getting information from the source. And so that's what needs to be fixed. This is what I talk about in the Heartfulness meditation. It is a system given for this specific task through the transmission, which is divine energy from the pure essence of the source that is given on a heart-to-heart basis, and the cleaning aspect that helps to clean away people's selfishness and their egotistical pursuits, and the product of those pursuits that block people's connection to the divine. I mean, it's a very simple system. If you understand this, is why I talk about it all the time, that's designed for the very essence of the problem, that people have become so spiritually gross because of their selfishness and their big egos, their demonic egos. They've created blockages. We've all created blockages between our hearts and our souls and the part of us that can connect to God, because our heart is the instrument of love, and God communicates through love. And most people are so gross, they really can't feel love anymore. Most people haven't really experienced love, a heartfelt feeling of love. And if they do experience, it's very seldom. Their hearts are all bound up in like spiritual cholesterol, right? So the Heartfulness system has developed a method for cleaning away this cholesterol. Some of it's through experience, but some of it's through using the transmission and people's will forces, either the master or trainers of the system or each practitioner using their will force to clean it away. And then there's a transmission that helps to accentuate the loving feeling that, the feeling of love and God's love, which helps people connect to their souls and God. And so now decisions can be made. You go through a personal decision-making process, because, when you have to make choices in life, if you make them from a gross, egotistical, narcissistic, selfish point of view, your choices are always going to suck and you're always going to be wrong. Mental in a selfish way, or through your gut in a hedonistic type of, anger, using your emotions, because you have three centers of intelligence. You have your gut intelligence, which is your lower level, your animalistic, your appetites, your, pleasure and pain and anger and hatred and all these negative emotions and conditions exist in your gut. So when people say they're following their gut, well, they're screwed, right? Because that's where all their lower level instincts, some of it can be animalistic things. Your lower level chakras and things are there. And so there's all these nerve endings and things in your gut. And so, there's an intelligence center there. And a lot of first time souls, they're just completely gut people. They haven't developed any sort of cerebral, any sort of mental intelligence. But then you have these people who are scientific in nature. They don't have a connection to God, people who are very technologically, nerdy type of people who are very mental, and they are disconnected from their guts and their hearts, but they also have monstrous egos, and their egos are about how smart they are, and they make these mental, computer-based sort of analytical decisions based in their own selfish sort of orientation to the world. And that's another form of, poor leadership that's happening. Mental decisions from a narcissistic, big egotistical point of view. And then there's your heart, which is corroded in grossness. And so, people's hearts get deceived by, fake love or, because your heart is where you store your spiritual grossness in the form of some scars or impressions. I've covered that before. And so most people are disconnected from their hearts. And when they do connect to their hearts, there's so much grossness and, just like there is on these other levels and big ego stuff, that they aren't able to make clear decisions. But if your heart is clean and you connect to God, then God guides you through your heart. You'll just feel like this doesn't feel right. Have you ever had that? This doesn't feel right, on a heart-based level. Something's wrong. Something's off about this. I shouldn't do this. This is wrong, right? Or you feel like, this loving glow when you think about this one, when you think about the different options that are on the table, and you feel this loving glow directing you in one option, right? Which is what the Heartfulness system helps people cultivate, is being able to use their heart and feel it. And they say, oh, wow, this one feels right. This one feels wrong. These other ones feel wrong, but this feels, like the right course of action. And when you have leaders who are like that, which we don't, like the new leadership and the old leadership aren't like that at all. And so, they're making decisions, faulty decisions, mental decisions, gut-based decisions based on lower level emotions and, a failed analytical mental process based in selfishness and things. Like if you're a fearful person in your gut and then you make mental decisions based in fear and avoiding that fear, right, which is so much of what's happened in America, you're going to get a country like we have now. And it's, on the verge of collapse for that reason. And so what's important to know here is that the system itself is, run by selfishness and greed. Like greed is good, Gordon Gekko from the Wall Street movie. And that the debt-based economy and our, Hollywood culture and all these things that, America's indulged in, the materialism, the consumer-based orientation to life, where we're just consuming more and more resources and trying to be happy through materiality, through material, opulence. That if you have nice things, and not just nice things, but expensive things, and you have fame and fortune and whatever it is, right? What people crave, love and acceptance, and, from many people, being special, being a star, all these things you've been sold as the American dream. But you see all these people in the mainstream media, all the celebrities, and you look at, they have these lines of unhappiness on their face. Athletes, professional athletes, and, politicians and rich people, bankers. I mean, all the wealthy people, the royal family, they're not happy. They have these things, and they're actually more miserable than the average person. You look at their faces, they're dead inside. They don't, they're not, they didn't crack the code, right? This didn't do it for them. Materiality and material pleasures and whatever it is, right? All these material ways of people thinking of being successful don't make you happy, because you have to, be in balance and be in line, be congruent with what your soul's path is. And these people who run the world aren't, like that. They haven't done that. And we see it. I cover it here on a daily basis. They go crazy. The more, wealth and success they get, the crazier they get. It's happening to, look at all these social media influencers. It's starting to happen to them, melting down. Many of them have, mental breakdowns, and they lose it, right? And then they, fall from grace, and they beg for forgiveness. I mean, it's just a path we see, because it doesn't provide them with what they think it's going to provide them with, which is happiness and, sense of purpose. It's like one of the worst things to achieve your materialistic goals, because then, I mean, it's, it's a positive thing, but you realize it's all, fake and a lie, but you can't give it up, right? It's like better than it was, but it's still worse. And, people don't want to give up their fame. Madam Expiration Date, Will Smith, I mean, all these iconic celebrities will do anything for just a little bit more relevance, right? They just want to be relevant again for just a little bit, but that little bit is forever. They just want to taste it again, and then they, that's still not enough. And they feed off of this low vibrational energy, because they become, it's like somebody who smokes cigarettes, and when they quit, they cough because they are used to breathing in smoke, right? They're used to, their lungs have adjusted, and it's just like a person who's, addicted to some sort of toxins, like an addict. And then when they don't have those things, they don't have their addictive, heroin or whatever it is, right? Oxycontin or whatever it might be. They go through withdrawal because now you're addicted. Your body's used to having this poison in it, and it's adapted to it. And now you have to, retrain your body to live without these toxins. And that's part of what's happening in our culture. So you can't fix this system. I've said it over and over again. Whoever wants to. The Trump couldn't make America great again because it wasn't great. It wasn't ever great the way people think it was. It's just a lie. It might have been great for you at some point, but it wasn't for everybody else, right? So, it has to be great for everybody. It isn't certainly great for the rest of the people in the world that we're eating their resources, so it isn't great for them. There's an imbalance here, and there is a burden for people who live in America, who live in the country consuming the most resources. There's a burden we all share that we're not even aware of it, but it's quite heavy. It's quite unpleasant, And so there's that. And so the whole system has to be, it's a new system. You got to, it's something where you can't fix it or rewire it or rework it or take out, what you think is the toxic part of it. It's just a bad system. And so it's never going to be good. It's never going to be, something that's sustainable. And so the system has to go. And so it doesn't matter if you change the leadership or you change what the leadership looks like, or even some of their superficial ideas about change. It's either liberals or conservatives or Republicans or Democrats, whatever it is, right? White versus people of color or men versus women. But they're all, addicted to this same system. and they want the power and they want the positions. They want to fill the power positions in the system, but it's the same system. And so it's going to turn you into the same sorts of leaders, the same sorts of evils that you're seeing with these white men, the man, right? What you're seeing with the so-called man, okay, but you get rid of the man and you replace it with a woman, it's going to be the same thing, just a little bit different, but the same, right? It's going to be, there'll be some minor twerking and tweaking, not twerking, tweaking, but the system, the unfair nature of the system, and not just unfair, ungodly, because it's a system that doesn't encourage you to connect to the highest part of yourself, your soul, and you're always going to be miserable. Everyone's always going to be miserable as long as they're not congruent with their soul and their spiritual reason for being here. Everyone's going to feel this lingering, it's like you go to sleep and something's nagging at your consciousness. You don't feel like something's off, like something's not the way it should be. That's what most people feel like, even if they, block it out somehow. They're not connected to their soul and they're going in the wrong direction. And when you go in the wrong direction, you feel crappy. You're just going to feel crappy. You might have moments of happiness and bliss when you get something you want, but underneath that, you're going to feel like crap because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And that's what the heartfulness system is here to restore, which is, duty, dharma, and, your true reason for being on planet Earth, and to balance your, hedonistic and materialistic, egotistical tendencies and, mirror those things, moderize those things, some sort of moderation of your ego so it can align with your soul's path, where your ego is being satisfied, but you're working on your soul's goals and your soul's, purpose for being here, and you're connected to God, and God is showing you the right decisions to make. Until that happens, it's going to be a shit show down here. I mean, that's, and it's up to people to choose to do it. And I don't know what it's going to take. I mean, I have, hope and faith that it's going to happen, but I don't know, what the timeline is and what it's going to look like and what's going to motivate people's egos to give up control, because an ego seizes control over your existence and it just closes out the soul, like in Split, that movie Split, where the personality would hold on to the light and wouldn't let the other personalities come forward, these multi-personalities. And so your ego is holding on to your, control of your life and decision-making process, and it is shutting out your soul and God, and that's the real problem. Like, that's what has to be fixed. Until that's fixed, there's going to be no, things getting better. You can change leadership that focuses on peripheral characteristics of the person's, demographics, but as long as people are the same inside, their orientation of the world is the same, and as long as the system exists, which is, the system is purposefully designed to keep you disconnected from your soul, to break up the family, disconnect you from nature. I mean, it is a demonic system in that way. The debt-based aspect of the economy, all of it, right? The unnatural way of processing and harvesting resources. I mean, everything. The materialism, the, consumer-based aspect of it, all of it is, designed to disconnect you from your soul and God and to pollute your heart with impressions. I mean, it is, a negative system. And so if you really want change, then you have to change yourself inside, because we're all manifesting this current system in the world. And so the more people that become more, divinized and their hearts open up and they start to manifest, a life, whatever your material life is, a reflection of your internal world. And so when your internal world is divinized, is cleaned out, and you're connecting to God, and God is guiding you, and your soul's path is illuminated in front of you, and you're moving forward on that path. When that happens, you start to affect the material world of not only yourself but everyone else. And then the system, people start waking up. There's a movie I forget it was called, whatever it is, some Pleasantville or something like that. And everybody was in black and white, but then some of the people started to be colorized, right? And it was sort of this interesting movie because of those visual graphics they were using. And so it's like that. People start waking up to their true nature because, half of a person's existence, and it's really the more important half, is your soul and your spiritual essence. And most people don't have, your heart and your loving aspect, your loving intelligence. And most people are completely disconnected. That's been shut down completely. And so when that is, comes out of a dormant state and people are, waking up in the true sense of the, waking up from a materialistic, mental, egotistical pursuit of their existence, then you'll see the world start to change. And this is what the Heartfulness system is here to help people do. Like, you still have to do it. Like, it's not something the system will do for you. It's not like you get a membership card and this automatically happens. You have to work on it personally through your, internalized meditation and cleaning practices. And you have to work at it and cultivate this in yourself. And then, become a fully functioning person with a material wing and a spiritual wing, with the spiritual wing, in a sense, leading the way as you make your decisions with God and your soul, guiding you to make the right choices. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.